Your Excellency, President Yoweri Museveni, Excellencies, colleagues, Namaste to all of you. I bring the warm greetings of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the 19th NAM Summit. Let me applaud Uganda for taking up the chairship at this crucial juncture. We extend our fullest support for your success. I recognize Azerbaijan for leading NAM through a difficult period. I also welcome South Sudan as a new member. Excellencies, I present perspectives from India guided by the belief in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family. The world has changed profoundly since the NAM met last in Baku in 2019. We have all been ravaged by the COVID pandemic, whose scars will take generations to heal. There are conflicts underway whose repercussions are felt far and wide. Gaza, in particular, is the focus of our concern. Climate change is increasingly and more regularly disruptive. There are few who have not felt its impact. The triad of debt, inflation, and growth challenges also weigh heavily on the developing. Underlying these serious concerns is the nature of the world we confront. We may have overthrown the yoke of colonialism, but we struggle with new forms of inequity and domination. In the era of globalization, we see economic concentrations that treat the rest of the world as simply markets or resources. Our smallest need is often manufactured furthest away. We are also subject to narratives of political correctness and universalism that do not give their due to our culture and our traditions. As the NAM, we must respond to these challenges. A multipolar world with a reformed UN at its core is key. Economic decentralization with greater regional production is so as well. But we must press for cultural rebalancing where all heritage is mutually respected. By spearheading the African Union's membership, India showed during its G20 presidency that change is possible. This should inspire reformed multilateralism. Excellencies, transforming the world order requires practical steps. Creating regional economic hubs, resilient supply chains, predictable mobility, and trusted data flows are essential. So too are people-centric policies with sustainable lifestyles. Digital public infrastructure is an example of the promise that technology offers. Addressing food, energy, and health security is critical, as is women-led development. Connectivity must be prioritized while respecting sovereignty and ensuring viability. And climate action and SDG realization must be adequately resourced if we are really serious. Excellencies, India demonstrates this commitment through 600 significant projects in 78 nations, and each one of them respects the choice of our partners. Insofar as Africa is concerned, 300 projects and 45,000 training slots are an expression of our solidarity. When COVID struck, we shared vaccines with almost 100 nations while still vaccinating our own. As natural disasters happen, we have often been first responders for the developing world. In chairing the G20, we chose to convene and draw strength from the global south. As Vishwa Mitra, that is friend of the world, India will always be there to share. Excellencies, growth and progress are based on peace and stability. In our globalized existence, conflict anywhere has consequences everywhere. We saw that in regard to Ukraine when it came to our fuel, food, and fertilizer supplies. Right now, the conflict in Gaza is understandably uppermost in our minds. This humanitarian crisis requires a sustainable solution that gives immediate relief to those most affected. We must also be clear that terrorism and hostage-taking are unacceptable. At the same time, international humanitarian law must always be respected by all states. It is imperative that the conflict does not spread within or beyond the region. But in the final analysis, we must seek a two-state solution where the Palestinian people can live within secure borders. Our collective endeavors should focus on making this realizable. Excellencies, the NAM has entered its 7th decade. In that period, the world has transformed, and so too have our capabilities and confidence. We must be bolder in seeking our due and pressing our demands. The more we share, collaborate, and reinforce each other, the more we will change the world. The voice of the NAM is here to be heard. The voice of the NAM is here to stay and to grow. Let us send that message today. Thank you for your attention.